One issue that has inflamed voters all over Australia is the sell-off of public assets, in particular electricity networks. That debate is raging again ahead of a state election later this month in New South Wales. The government's promising to sell off power poles and wires and use the billions it raises to build more roads. It also promises power prices will fall, although opponents say they'll go up. Adam Harvey set out to investigate which of those claims is true.
Everything's kind of up and ready.
What a great turnout. You guys are fantastic. We've got an army of black shirts. It's so fantastic. Can I just
For these off-duty electricity workers, the New South Wales election is about just one thing.
Is on the 28th of March, when there's a referendum on whether or not we sell off our state's assets, we have to vote no. We have to vote it down.
Ready to go!
They're fired up about the state government's plan to sell half of the electricity distribution network. Poles, wires and substations. Last year they earned $1.7 billion for the state.
We want to bolster the state economy and there's no other means to raise the money here. The money has to come from somewhere. The government has a number of options. We can either debt burden everybody, we can tax everybody, or alternatively we can look at an ageing asset, in this case, recycle the capital to invest in new public assets to drive productivity across the economy and at the same time make life easier for everyone, make life easier for those mums and dads to get home to their kids.
The government says it has no choice but to sell. It needs the cash to build new roads.
Our global city is congested. It's costing the nation $8 billion per annum, let alone the state of New South Wales. Everybody is affected. Mums and dads can't get home to their kids at night because they're stuck in a car. People stuck on train platforms, unable to get to work. So we've got to tackle congestion head on.
Despite the government's promise to make life easier for commuters, they're not buying it.
I think that's a wrong thing to do for someone else to come and take over the power and that. And I'd rather the power stay in Australia, mate.
And are you worried because of power prices, your own bills? Or?
Mate, it's high enough as it is at the moment, so I can imagine if it gets privatised or sold, whatever, it'll be probably double, mate.
What's the value of what you're selling off now, and are you just taking something away from of the next generation? Most often you are.
I mean, it should be something that the state keeps for us, I guess. I don't know. I haven't really thought that much about it.
The government says power prices won't go up.
That's what they say, but we don't really know that.
You trust them?
No. They never said something and they were up to their word.
Opinion poll evidence suggests stunning rates of opposition in the high 70s or 80s, depending on how you measure it. You can point to at least a dozen state and federal elections that have turned on privatisation, and in every one of those cases, the party advocating privatisation has been defeated.
My political career is over. It is over.
Pushing privatisation has killed governments in South Australia and Queensland. In New South Wales, the Labor Party tore itself apart over privatisation.
They didn't want to do it my way. They can get on without me.
It destroyed Morris Yema's premiership, and the party is still recovering from the chaos that followed.
Of all the public issues that beset Labor, setting aside the gnawing problem of internal corruption and the need for reform, nothing has been more damaging than privatisation.
Why is there so much public opposition to privatisation?
Well, the fear and smear campaign of the union movement is well known. I mean, they are running ads using millions of dollars of members' money without any accountability. There's no truth in advertising through a political campaign, and we are going to stare them down.
Hello, how are you? My name's Anthony, this is Adam.
Hi.
I'm a local power worker and Adam works for the Stop the Sell-Off campaign.
Okay.
We're just here today to gear up support for the privatisation against the poles and wires.
In regards to our resources and the privatisation of things, I'm very opposed to it. I just think it's a quick money raiser and they're not actually thinking of, maintaining future profits in this country and maintaining our resources and our jobs and everything else involved with keeping Australia alive.
Once the poles and wires are sold, we lose this money.
The bottom line for consumers is how privatisation will affect the price of power.
This is the real story about electricity privatisation. It benefits private companies and their shareholders, while you and your community are left paying higher prices.
But experience in states where electricity has been sold off suggests it hasn't led to higher prices. If anything, price rises in those states have been smaller than where electricity is still in government hands.
The evidence is that the privately owned networks operate at lower cost, slightly better service than the publicly owned networks.
In New South Wales, prices will fall next year because the energy regulator has ordered a drop. The state government has enlisted one of the nation's best-known consumer advocates to make this happen.
My role is to ensure that prices don't go up in respect of networks and poles. It's not a difficult job because the regulator has already made a draft determination that they're going to fall 20 or 30%.
Opponents of privatisation are continuing their fight against a sell-off. They say there's more at stake here than the size of a power bill.
Because they're selling an income-generating asset and then spending the proceeds, they will worsen their fiscal position. They'll almost certainly then be in a position where the budget problems become worse rather than better.
Why do you think the public are so nervous about privatisation? Is it fear of higher bills?
No, I think Australians actually value assets. They understand you can't be selling assets unless you invest in new assets. It's like selling off a family home in order to go on a holiday. Sheer madness.
Adam Harvey reporting.